New York.
New York.
None. Real quick, Riddick asked a question about placement and resonance. What is resonance? Resonance is that vibration that you feel when you're using a lower placement with lots of breath coming through. To give you an example, let's look at the E sound. Listen to this. E. Compare that to a higher placement E sound. E. E. That second one, because it's so much higher, I feel so much more the vibration in my head, in my jaw, maybe even my teeth a little bit. And these are automatic signs to you that your placement is very high. You want to feel more of that vibration lower, again in the throat, chest area. Also, we talked earlier about you should feel a little bit of tenseness in your stomach and your diaphragm whenever you're making this lower placement. If you feel that you have a low placement but you're not getting that resonance, what that means is that you might be tensing up your chest and tensing up your throat, so then not as much air can get through. To get used to more breathing exercises, I strongly encourage you to take a look at this video here. Let's revisit all the exercises. New York.
New York.
Chicago.
Chicago,
Brooklyn.
Brooklyn,
More than individual vowel sounds or consonant sounds, the biggest issue and the difference is
Placement.
it's all about where are you projecting the sound from. Today, our goal is just to give you some examples of what a high tense placement sounds like versus a low open placement. First thing I want to take a look at is the ah sound. Listen to what I'm doing there. Ah, ah. What I'm doing is I'm projecting from a low spot in my throat. I'm also opening things up to make sure lots of air is going through. Ah, ah. Compare the difference in how I say this word with how the Italian speaker does. Chicago.
Chicago,
Chicago.
Chicago,
Another example of this, New York.
New York.
New York.
New York.
Now I picked this ah sound and this oo sound because these are vowels that almost every language in the world has, which means that the difference between them is largely due to placement if the mouth position is almost identical. Another sound that can be tricky is the
R sound.
The reality is it's actually a relatively light sound. The vowels around it you want to receive more emphasis. Make sure enough air is moving through your throat once more. For instance, in a word like York.
York.
If you find that you're saying or,
York.
or, then that could be a sign that your placement's up around here. Also, your lower jaw may be a little bit tense if you feel the muscles engaged there. So we want to lower the lower jaw more, try to project from right here, and try to make sure enough air is moving through your throat. So instead of producing an or sound, see if you can do or. Now, let's see if we can do that faster. Or. In American English, we want that vowel, we want that air, we want that breath to keep flowing. We don't want the consonant sounds to stop it. In a word like York, that's the sound we'll get instead of
York.
Day 2. What sound do you make when you're thinking in your first language? In American English, the sound is like, If you can get this sound right, you can apply this to every other sound that exists in American English. Now, I'm going to make that sound and try to shift to other vowels. See if you can do it with me. Ah, e, a, oo. I'm projecting everything from here with lots of air coming through the throat. I'm going to pronounce these other vowel sounds from the same position. Firstly, put your face into a neutral position. Your top teeth and your bottom teeth are not touching. Tongue is going to start to rise slightly. It does not touch the top of your mouth, but it's also not against the bottom either. Once you're in this neutral position, open your lips just a little bit. Now what we can do is we're going to try to pronounce the sound from up here and see if you can send the sound down 5 times. To give you an example, Let's do that again. We can do the opposite too. uh, 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 uh. Now let's do the whole chain. Uh, 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 uh. Another thing you can do is try to link that whole process, like again, One thing that can also help with the schwa sound is laughing. Now, as you're laughing, I want you to take your hands and put them on your stomach. As you laugh, notice what your stomach does. It tenses and relaxes, it tenses and relaxes. When you make the schwa sound, you want to feel a little bit of that same tension in your stomach. Because honestly, when you laugh, you're really just making the schwa sound a lot.
Still having a hard time with that schwa sound.
Another exercise you can do is imagine you're surrounded by like 20 really noisy kids and you need them to be quiet. You could tell them, hush. Hear all that breath at the beginning? Again, try to feel on your stomach a little bit of that tension on that part. We'll do each of these twice. The first time separated with a pause, the second time linked together. Ah, ah, e, e, ooh, ooh, a, a, ow, ow, oh, oh. Day 3, L sounds. Did you say feel? The problem with this is you are raising your placement on the L. It's causing your whole word to sound tense. Feel. To give you an example, try to do E with a low, open placement. E. Now, try to add the L. Eel. If you find that you're doing eel, you're raising your placement on the L sound, causing your whole word to sound tense. See if you can repeat after me. We're going to say a word 2 times. The first time is going to be tense and high with the placement on the L. The second time, it's going to be low and open. Style, style. File, file. Boil, boil. Rural, rural. A lot of these L sounds are instead pronounced more like level, trouble, social. Try to instead pronounce your L's with this lower position. It's going to get more air through your throat and open things up more. Let's try to lower it 5 times in steps. Oh, 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 oh. Let's go back up. Oh, 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 oh. Let's try to go down, then up again. Oh, 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 oh. And make sure you're using more of those lower ones for your placement. Let's try to link it together like, oh. Let's try to go up. Oh. Let's go down and up. Oh. Oh, oh, oh. Let's try to do it faster now. Oh, oh, little, 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 little. And any faster? Little, little, little. Ladle, 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 ladle. Law, 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 law. Lapel, 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 lapel. 9, 9. One thing a lot of students are doing is they are changing how their vowel sounds when they add the letter N. This day 4 of our placement challenge, there's a chance that you may be pronouncing it like N. But the reality is when you actually hear it in words in American English, it often has more of an N. The issue is this is a nasal sound. Air goes through your nose. So what happens is a lot of people change their placement. They feel it going out of their nose, so they shift their placement up there too and end up with a sound like N. Try to keep the projection of the sound from down here. If you find that tricky, Let's start with that nasal position and then send it down in 5 steps. N, 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 n. Back up. N, 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 n. What a lot of students find helpful is adding a schwa sound after it. You'll notice I'm saying n. Let's now see if we can link all of those together. Mm. And back up. Mm. And both. Mm. With the letter N comes at the end of a word, students are tending to tense up whatever sound comes before it. Moon. Or did you say mooin? Moon, mooin. The other issue too is that you may be adding a vowel sound before your N. So again, it's not mooin. Do you hear that N? It's more moo. If you find you're adding a vowel sound, I encourage you to do this exercise. Break it into 2 parts. Pronounce the moo sound, moo. Then pause. Now add the N, moo. N. Let's repeat that 3 times, and each time make the pause a little bit shorter. Moo, n, moo, n, moon. Let's now try to say moon 3 times. Moon, 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 moon. Notice how weak the N sound is. Moon, 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 moon. 9, 9. Noon, noon. None, none. Let me know how you feel like your progress has been. Roar. Or did you say roar? Day 5 of our placement challenge for the R. I know a lot of people have learned that it's tense and strong in American English like R, but the reality is that it's actually a relatively weak sound. You want lots of air moving through your throat. If you don't have enough air through your throat, you're going to get a very tense, closed sound. To make the R, the back of your tongue needs to be high. What about the front of your tongue? We have some flexibility here. You can curl it like ra, ra. Or you can also have it down against the bottom of your front tooth. Ra, ra. Let's begin by looking at the last part of the sound, the or sound. Can you say or 3 times? Or, or. You can even do an exercise we've been doing this whole week. Let's start high and send the sound down. Or. Can you hear how that's going deeper? Can you feel a difference from when you're up here versus when you're down here with the placement? Or. Let's now try to send the sound back up. Or. Let's do that a little faster. Or. Let's now do that again without the pauses. Or. Let's try just saying row. Make sure that your throat is staying open for the entire time. We're just shifting the placement. Row, 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 row. Row, 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 row. Row, row. If you find that to be hard too, see if you can just say the sound by itself. Let's say that again without the pauses. If you find that to be difficult, then your primary goal right now is to just work on pronouncing the sound. Making sure you're not doing That's a sign that your throat is closed off. There's not a lot of air making it through. And also, your placement is too high. Another way you can check to see is, again, say 3 times. If you find that you're saying then that's a sign you're too tense and closed off. Not enough air is making it through your throat. Let's finish up by practicing some words that have multiple R sounds. Roar, 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 rare, 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 rear, 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 ranger, 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 ranger. How are you? How are you? Day 6, we're taking a look now at sentences. When you say a whole sentence, you want every sound coming from a low open position. So if you're able to keep everything down here, your whole sentence will sound a lot more natural. Let's take a look at our first one. How are you? 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 Thanks for your help. 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 Where do you live? 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 It's supposed to rain. 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 If you're still having trouble with placement, I recommend improving your schwa sound. You can get started with that here.